couple things to mention. This is NG Plus, or World Challenge Mode, how it's called in this game. And
Ratchet and
you may
Clank
notice I'm
PS4
playing on a different language, and this language is actually Polish, and I'm playing it because it's roughly 3 seconds faster than English.
Whenever you're ready, Snake, just let me know.
Usually because a lot of games, a lot of things in this game are dependent. Yes,
So,
first couple things to mention. This is NG Plus, or World Challenge Mode, how it's called in this game. And you may notice I'm playing on a different language, and this language is actually Polish, and I'm playing it because it's roughly 3 seconds faster than English.
Anyway,
Usually because a lot of games, a lot of things in this game are dependent on the dialogue and stuff. So I chose normal difficulty, and we'll switch difficulties a lot in this game because that's what restarts the checkpoint in this game. And also in specific situations, a specific difficulty would be faster. Anyway, timer starts once I press X here to confirm the difficulty, so be ready, because time is starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Anyway, run consists of 11 planets. This is the first one, Weldon. And right off the bat, I'm just gonna open something called extras and cheats on English. So yeah, runner is cheating already, even though like it's been 10 seconds into the run. I'm gonna pull out this weapon because I'm gonna need it very soon. We're gonna use 6 different weapons during the run, but we only have 4 quick select slots, so I'm gonna kind of swap those weapons there. And now here comes the first trick. So basically, okay, and I missed it. Basically, yeah, I really hate falling down there because it's just so hard to get back up. So basically, if you stand on a spot out of bounds you're not supposed to stand to, which goes for some types of collision, basically the game will give you this huge boost, which we can use to our advantage, called the damage boost. And then basically once we do that, we can do something called the pause buffers, which lags the game, and for some reason gives a little bit more height, which is just enough for us to make it up there. Also, this game is going really fast, so it's really hard to explain all the stuff that's going on. But basically, there's 2 parts of Weldon, Weldon Day and Weldon Night. And the good thing about that is that they're both active at the same time. Oh, how did I? Basically, I attempted to do something here, something called the dialogue skip, but I failed because apparently I walked towards the garage way too early. And that's the end of the first planet. But yeah, both Weldons are loaded at the same time, so basically just being at the right place at the right time can completely just sequence break the game and trigger the second part of the Weldon. And casually we are supposed to actually do Weldon 1, then a Clank section, then Weldon 2, but we just skipped that Clank section entirely. Also, you can see Clank is on our back, our little buddy. Also, I didn't mention this, but fast way of moving in first couple minutes of the game is by pressing square and X. We do something called wrench cancels. And later in the run, we're gonna acquire a helipack, which will be the new fast way of traversing, I guess. It's also important for wrench cancels that we are close to enemies, because that gives us a little boost. Like it just propels us forward and gives us more momentum, which is nice. Also, this is the second planet, Novalis. And thing is, this is probably the most casual planet of the run, and the one we break the least. When starting out, this is probably one of the easiest planets for beginner runners, but for top level, it's one of the hardest, and maybe even the hardest, because optimal movement on this planet is really damn hard. Like, you lose maybe like 5-6 seconds in movement. And to some small bits and pieces here and there, but if you're running on like if you're a beginner, you really are not gonna lose much time. Also, here's a really fun fight. You're gonna shoot 2 peacemakers, drop product class, then shoot a peacemaker to the left to kill some birds and destroy the ship just in time so that enemies don't spawn, and finish the fight that way. which gives us the coordinates to Aridia. And it already got coordinates to Kerwan after talking to the plumber and like sliding down the waterfall. And that's the end of the second plant, and we're going to the third plant called Kerwan. Kerwan's gonna start with a ship section, and then with a Ratchet section, and then we'll have a second part, which is the Ratchet section. Also, I keep drinking a different drink every run. For the first run, I drink Red Bull. For second run, the Prince of Persia one, I drank water, and now for this stretch run, I'm drinking apple juice. But yeah, we pretty much, the way we progress is that there are levels, and we just go to the end of the levels, get the coordinates for the next planet, and just progress that way. That's just kind of like traveling through the galaxy. That's kind of the theme of Ratchet and Clank. Cheers, mate. But yeah, like, you have probably seen me a couple times just change the difficulty to rest at the checkpoint and skip some cutscenes. Sadly, some cutscenes are unskippable. Like, for example, there's a bunch of dialogue coming up here, and the change of difficulty here just skips all the dialogue. Puts us straight into the second part of the ship section, which is kind of a mini boss fight, where we have to pick up a bunch of these warbots and just launch it towards the ship. And yeah, we have specific padding for this. We take... yeah, that's pretty much the end of the fight, and the ship section. Now it's time for the Ratchet section. Back to some good old shooting. Just like with enemies, you can also be close to some objects and get the booster French cancels. Which I usually fail. That one with those crates there, I never really managed to figure out like the proper distance. Now here we're gonna kill all these enemies to activate the button, and we can actually press the button just by launching the Protoblast straight to the button. Which presses it and activates the cutscene and gives us the helipad. Now, you see this weapon that's level 9? Well, I want to level it up a bit. Oh, I forgot to turn off infinite ammo. Oh, fucking hell. That's messed up the trick. But no worries, we can do the alternative. And I kinda went there by muscle memory to restart the save file. Also, yeah. I really hate when that trick goes wrong, but basically that's a 2-frame trick which you only have one attempt at, which is caused by leveling up the weapon and breaking that Raritanium node at the same time. But no worries, there's another Raritanium node right over here, and let me just check that everything's fine. Basically gonna lure some dogs in here. And show a grenade, and we're gonna cause a blue screen of death that way. So basically what happens there is this trick works for whatever reason. And yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier in the stream that there's gonna be another blue screen of death. At least one more during the stream, and that was the one. But basically that trick is a very weird wrong warp that warps us to the end of the plant. That's the cool thing about it. Also, I kinda need to swap weapons here, because I'll need them for the next plant, and now is the perfect time to swap them. And this plant has one of the very funny out-of-bounds sections, if Ratchet would actually accept my inputs, that is. So we're gonna go out of bounds, abuse the damage boosts to get up here. We're gonna go up here, hopefully get up here. Hopefully get up here, I said. And just gonna go up here and press triangle. And you might have seen some weird words coming out of there, well, yeah. Basically, what happens there is that devs have accidentally left a debug trigger there. So basically just going there, pressing triangle, auto completes the entire planet. And just gives you the coordinates for the next one. Also, you might have noticed me doing some stuff here. So basically what I'm doing there, during the load screens, is that I'm turning off my controller. And basically there is an unskippable ship cutscene, which we can actually skip by turning off the controller, which forces the menu to open. And then we can just go into the menu and change the difficulty. So here, I'm gonna get this enemy close to Titanium, shoot, and do another screen of that. And fail somehow? That's funny. I don't know why that failed. So now I have to do an out of bounds to actually get to the fight. But basically that screen of that was supposed to warp us to the boss fight we were about to do. But somehow it failed. But basically the way that works, or well, the way to get it is by breaking the, as I said, breaking the Rotanium, being close to Rotanium, and leveling up the weapon at the same time. And there's like a 2-frame window for that, and this is a 1 in 60 game. And now I have to switch the difficulty to casual just so that the boss has less HP and I can kill him quicker. But they were supposed to change the difficulty to casual after getting the screen of death, which I failed. And we won't need the Sheepinator anymore for the rest of this run, so I'm just gonna swap back to Grutron. And we'll need Grutron at the very end of the run, or well, one of the last 2 bosses. Because the last 2 bosses of the game are back to back. And sadly this cutscene is unskippable. It's roughly 20 seconds long, we can't do anything about it. Yeah. That was the 5th planet. We're off to the 6th planet. Gaspar. Or as I like to call it, Aspar. So this is the first boss fight of the game. And there's, well, 2 more to go right at the end. Technically there is 4 boss fights in the casual setting, but we skip one of them. And I'm gonna enable infinite ammo because we pretty much don't need to disable anymore. Basically, if you have infinite ammo on, you cannot level up the weapons. You don't get any XP for them, so that's why we need to disable it when doing the screens of death. Also, it's worth mentioning that the damage boost, which you can also do of things like lava, you can, when you have the invisibility cheat turned on, you can only do 3 balances, and at the 4th one you pretty much die. So you have to kind of watch out there when doing that out of bounds. Yeah, just doing some completely not casual padding here of collecting these brains. Basically, we're supposed to collect 10 brains to get a new gadget called the Jetpack, which then allows us to fly and get even more brains. And then 20 brains will get the coordinate for the next planet. But yeah, these telepathic bosses, these mini-bosses actually give us free brains, and that's really useful. So doing as much of them as possible is really good. And now I can change the difficulty. I'm kind of risking it a lot because basically the moment the brains start flying towards you, you can pretty much change the difficulty. Because, like, you'll get them, the game will, like, it'll count. Now we need to grab another gadget called the Grind Boots. And we need to do a fight for that. And thing is, we're only gonna use these Grind Boots once during the run, which is at the very end. Like, we can actually skip the last, like, grind rail section of the game, but it's slower than actually doing it. So yeah, if someone actually finds the skip for that grind rail section, we won't have to pick these boots at all. And yeah, that's the 6th planet. Now it's time for the 7th planet, Relgar. And we're pretty much forced to change the casual difficulty here. I'm gonna explain in a second why. So we're gonna do another glitch that's only used on this planet and nowhere else, called the Swing Shot Sword. So basically, we're gonna do that. So basically, we just do an animation from which Ratchet can hook up to a swing shot and basically store the swing shot target. And basically, once we do that, we can just go to another swing shot, attach to it, and because the first one got stored, you can just like attach to that stored swing shot and pretty much get a lot of distance and clip under an invisible wall to get out of bounds. Pretty much. So that's what happens. And that's the end of Plan 7. Time for Plan 8. I tell you. This is also the last plan we're going to do. I'm gonna do the trick where I turn off the controller, because the last 3 plans actually have a cutscene. They start with a cutscene that's skippable. So we're gonna do something called the snowman strat. By simply high jumping up here, if I can actually get it. And gonna do a precise high jump off here from a precise position so that we can I really hate this trick, so that we can actually avoid the invisible wall here, or well, the dead plane, I want to say, because we're actually gonna land really close to the dead plane. Gonna do some more movement to get here, which is pretty much where we're supposed to go. And that's that cannon. And now we have to do some shooting here with the cannon to complete the plan. Just that all that out of bounds has actually just kind of like thanks to all that out of bounds stuff we do, we can just reject cannon, and then all that's left is shooting. Basically, the way it works is there is 4 big ships, and to destroy the big ships, we need to get the laser, or we'll charge it by simply destroying 7 small ships. Pretty basic concept. Also hate it because it's kind of RNG, and it makes you lose a lot of time every run. And getting this quickly is really difficult, and it's RNG. That's like a combination I just despise. Fun fact, once someone managed to actually destroy two warships with 1 laser, but it was actually never replicated by anyone ever again. Many people attempted to replicate it, but no one ever got it. Sadly. But it would save us like a solid 20 seconds, if that was possible. And that's the end. The last ship. Another small and skippable cutscene there, but no worries. And now all that we need is to get back to the ship. Yeah, we're just taking this taxi because it's the fastest way of doing it. And yeah, that's Planet 8. Time for Planet 9, Core 2. Which has a really fun out of bounds, which goes straight to the end of the planet. Yeah. When it comes to screens of death, they're only useful in 2 planets so far. That being Kerwan and Nebula. But besides a quite a mysterious glitch which we can't really explain why exactly it works. from like a technical point of view. And maybe we'll be able to find some more uses for it in the near future. Small skip by getting up there on those crates. Casually we have to kill all the enemies there to actually extend the bridge. Now we're gonna do a high jump here. Get up here. And go out of bounds by going up on these pipes. And now here's this huge bridge. What we're gonna do is do a bunch of long jumps until we reach a specific point of the bridge, and then we're just gonna fall. As to why that happens, I'm gonna explain it in just a second. Basically, to figure out where to fall, I use the 5th to last lamp, and then I just jump off. Basically, that's to avoid the dead plane, because that if I jumped any earlier, I would have just hit that dead plane and died. And we're reaching the underground part of the level by doing that. And we're actually ending at the exact end of the level here. Which is a trespass puzzle, which we just, you know, auto-solved it. There's a trespass puzzle here. There's a game feature that just auto-completes the puzzle, which makes it nice. And that's the end of the level. I'll just get back, we get transported straight back to the ship, and I got a really inconsistent trick called super speed. Which takes roughly 2 seconds, but basically Ratchet runs really fast and gets to the ship immediately. Of like fucking light speed. Also, this is Planet 10, which consists of the Planetizer ship section and the Phoenix plant, which is a Clank section, basically. This one's pretty quick. Now we have a boss fight with Victor von Iron, which if I get well, will be real quick. So I changed difficulty to hard. Or normal works as well, but I changed it to hard because of my own muscle memory. They're just gonna spam him, and we have to kill him quickly enough so that we don't get the tractor beam, which if we do get, we lose like 20 seconds. Because you basically can't damage him doing that. But I managed to get the fight just fine. And that's the end of the ship section. Now we are going to do the only Clank section of this run. We use punch cancels, which is pretty much Clank's version of wrench cancels, to just move as fast as we can. Now we're gonna get in here. There's a little... With Clank you have to complete puzzles, but it's in a speedrun, not really. We're just gonna grab this bot, transform it into a spring bot, and do this to clip out of bounds. Then we're just gonna do some fancy Clank jumps and platforming to get here and hit the cutscene trigger here. Skip the cutscene at a very specific moment. Or we'll change the difficulty to skip the cutscene. We can't do it like the moment this cutscene starts, because like it won't actually skip the cutscene. We have to do it like after a specific point. And now we're on the last plant, the Planetizer. So I'd say the run should be over in roughly 3 minutes from now. But yeah, we don't have Clank here, Sally, so we are back to doing wrench cancels. And the thing about the Planetizer is that we, in a casual setting, we have to do the Planetizer 1, then Calibo 3, then the Planetizer 2. But thing is, both the Planetizer 1 and 2 are loaded at the same time. And we can use that to our advantage. Like they're both loaded and active at the same time. We're gonna do something called the Planetizer skip. Simply doing this, which makes us glitch and get out of bounds to the very end of the Plant Hazard 2. Also, the dead collision of Warbot would actually get out of my way. We can just spam those rockets and do that. And we are pretty much at the last 2 boss fights of the game. Also, I attempted to do something there called the elevator skip, which is a frame-perfect trick that saves roughly 6 seconds. Basically, the way it works is that we jump at a moment at which the game removes the dead plane, but doesn't freeze Ratchet in the elevator. Also, now, here's the first of the 2 last bosses of the game. Quark. So basically, throw the Gurutron so that his dialogue starts immediately once we get him to a specific amount of HP. And we just damage him, like, pretty easy, pretty simple. And we actually play this fight on hard because it saves 9 seconds, because these Gruvitrons come down faster for some reason. Also, here's the grind rail I mentioned, pretty much the only grind rail section in this game that we actually take, well, in a speedrun. We just chase after Nefarious for roughly 30-40 seconds and then the final boss with him. Or the last fight. We're just gonna use the Rhino because it's such a broken weapon and just melts everything even on hard difficulty. Yeah, and where you see some sort of a star is where the last fight takes place. So probably over in roughly 30 to 40 seconds. So strat with the Nefarious is that we have to damage him slowly, because basically we can damage him to a specific amount of HP before the cycles. Like this cycle 1, we can only get his HP down to 35%. And thing about that is that if his health is on 35% and we damage him, it won't skip his animations. So that's why I can damage slowly. Be ready and time. And I think I'm just gonna skip to ending end credits. No one cares about him.
GG. That's 26-36.
That fucking sucks. 2 minutes of my PP, that's really bad, actually. Yeah, that was Ratchet and Clank PS4. It's a shame that I missed Nebula Sod and YOLO Kraven Sod. So stupid. That's what it is. Okay. Yeah, that was the last run of today, I guess.
Yep.
That's how we close the day 1.
Day. Yeah, quite a day. Yep. Very interesting, you know, because it's the first time we're doing this, you know, like organizing a marathon. Very interesting for me, certainly. I've learnt a lot. I mean, a lot went wrong, like a lot.
All the tech issues.
Yeah, I mean, we've had 2 blue screens of death, the games weren't working, Curly's internet was down, so we were about to reschedule, but then it went back up, and I had problems launching my own game. It was all over the place, but every single one of those things is gonna teach us a lesson at the end of the day.
That's right.
So, I mean, tomorrow is gonna be tough again, because, I mean, while I'm sure we'll learn a lot from it, it's gonna be hard to apply all of it within a single day. But, you know, the next time we do something like this, I'm sure we'll be a lot better.
Yep. So we have roughly pretty much the same amount of... Yeah, the second day is pretty much roughly the same length.
Yeah.
9 hours.
Yeah. Well, we're about half an hour behind today, which is not too bad considering the tech issues.
We're actually 20 minutes behind.
Oh.
Yeah, it
Okay.
says sleep was supposed to start at 8 or 8:05 nights, like 8:58.
Right.
So it's still solid. Yeah, all the tech issues caused that. I think if we didn't run into those tech issues, we would have been on time.
Well, I would say some of the tech issues were caused by a lack of skill on our part, and some of them were just bad luck. Like, so you weren't there, but at the start we had some audio issues, and because basically GMP and I decided to make a last-minute change to how we're gonna do the recording, for how we're gonna restream. And what we didn't realize was when we made the change, the audio disappeared, and then we had a whole bunch of issues following from that. And straight away at the start of the marathon, we were like 15 or 20 minutes behind. And so that kind of thing was just kind of a lack of skill on our part. We could have tested that more to avoid that. But then there were other things like the blue screens of death that just like, yeah, I mean, that was just bad luck. And
yeah,
hopefully it doesn't happen tomorrow. But I don't know, because it's been happening a lot. But yeah, either way, I mean, the things that were bad luck, I mean, not much we can do about those, but the things that were our fault, we'll try to improve in the future.
Yep. I agree with that. Yeah, and tomorrow will be better because you gain, like, obviously you're not gonna improve overnight, but you're still gonna learn something from it. Like, that's what I...
For sure.
That's the case. That was the case with me when I was first hosting a marathon. Like, I teach so much about it that I think that the second marathon, once I do it, it's gonna be so much better.
For sure. I agree. But that's great. It's a great learning experience.
Yeah.
Alright. So, do you have any final remarks before I switch to the final intermission screen?
Not really.
Alright then, in that case, stay tuned for day 2. We're going to be starting in about 14 hours from now. And we'll start with Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time GBA version. And that's going to be a test by GMP, which he's actually made in the past month specifically for this marathon, which is insane. The fact that he put that together in like a month while preparing everything else for the marathon as well.
Yep. Running so many games, preparing all the stuff. He did like the most work for the marathon.